From the Cleveland County Courthouse in Norman, Oklahoma, I'm Dave Morris. It's day 7 of the Oklahoma Opioid Trial. And since day 2 of this trial, Kimberly Deem-Eshleman, she's the corporate representative for Johnson & Johnson, the defendants in this case, has been on the witness stand. We expect a little bit more back and forth today, a little more fiery testimony as her stay on the witness stand will conclude today. She was facing cross-examination from defense attorney Larry Ottaway and then a redirect from state attorney Brad Beckworth. We expected a little more back and forth. That's exactly what we got.
Ma'am, is there anything in this article that you've indicated you have reviewed and that the judge would have in evidence and can read in toto that talks about children or youth?
No.
So if someone wanted to go out on the courthouse steps here and tell people that this program marketed to youth, what would you say?
It did not.
Time, hopefully, for you on the stand is coming to a conclusion. You've been up there quite a while, haven't you?
I have.
And in addition to that, you were deposed over the course of, if I'm right, 8 days.
Yes.
What does it mean to work for Jansen?
I believe that Jansen is an incredible organization. I think that we practice with the highest of integrity, and I believe that it is a great organization that brings amazing medicines to people. I think we improve people's lives or try to improve people's lives every day.
Now, in this case, and in your testimony before Judge Bachman, we have been confining our discussion, and I want you to confine your discussion now to the Class 2 opioids that we have discussed, Lucento and Duragesic. Do you believe that they were unique products?
Yes.
Do you believe they brought value to patients and physicians who needed them?
I do.
I asked you multiple times over the course of the last week if you knew how much money Johnson & Johnson had spent to abate the crisis in Oklahoma. Do you remember those questions?
I do.
And after being here since last Wednesday, the only example you can give of something you've done here in Oklahoma was one presentation to a school in Edmond, right?
Again, I told you I wasn't sure what that exact number was or what we had done.
And the only thing you could point to was that one school, right?
That was an example of a program that was completed in Oklahoma, yes.
And until the court asked you, you didn't even know that was an at-risk school, did you?
I knew that school was in Oklahoma. I didn't know that it was at-risk school is how you're terming it.
And you talked about this prescribed responsibly, or what was the kids one you called?
Smart Moves, Smart Choices.
Right. What are the outputs on that here in Oklahoma?
The outputs of what?
Well, has it worked here in Oklahoma?
What? Smart Moves, Smart Choices?
Yeah, has it reduced our prescription drug abuse and addiction problem for kids under 18 here in Oklahoma? Can you give the court one example of it working?
Sir, I don't have that information, no.
Did this one program you did in Edmond work? Did it help one kid?
Again, I'm not sure if there were multiple programs. The only example I have is the Edmond example.
Well, have you ever talked to the Commissioner of Mental Health, Terry White, who's been in this courtroom for a week? Have you ever talked to her in the 15 years that you've done business here in Oklahoma and asked the Commissioner of Mental Health what we need to fix this problem for our kids?
I have not spoken to her, no.
General Hunter convened an opioid commission and asked bipartisan, private and public sector, to come and participate and solve these problems. Did your company come?
I'm not aware. I don't know.
No, they didn't come because you sold these products and you chose not to come here and help with the problems, right?
Your Honor, objection. She said she didn't know. But
Sustained.
Well, you said you didn't know, right?
I was not aware if we were invited. I don't know if we came or not.
How long did you rehearse for the testimony that you gave the last day?
objection to the form of the question.
Your Honor, may I respond to that? I don't need to know what she was told by her lawyers, but I think we're absolutely entitled to know how long she sat with these lawyers and rehearsed that script.
Objection again to the form of the question and the speech.
Overruled.
I did not rehearse.
How many hours did you spend with him?
Over the course of this entire trial and deposition,
Preparing for your testimony in court?
a few days.
Okay. Ma'am, going back to the school that's at risk, have you looked at what public and private citizens have done to help educate our youth here in Oklahoma?
I have not.
Have you looked at what our needs are to help with our very, very bad ranking on prescription opioid problems with under 18 at-risk kids? Have you ever looked at that?
Specifically to Oklahoma, no.
Because pouring kilogram after kilogram after kilogram of opioid product into this state did not fix the problem of undertreated pain, did it?
That I don't know. They're talking about just there's a disconnect. Something's not happening, right?
Well, we still had undertreated pain according to your words, right?
It's said here, and yes, it's believed in the community.
And after your 140,000 targeted sales visits in Oklahoma, while we hadn't fixed pain, we did have an opioid crisis, right?
There is an opioid crisis.
And that's the disconnect, right there. Supply, overdone, kills, right?
No.
Objection to the form, Your Honor, outside the scope.
Decided to get out of the pain business. That was after the lawsuits, after the regulators were coming down, and after the CDC declared it a public crisis, right?
Again, I think I need to object. It's outside the scope of anything I ask.
Sustained.
Ma'am, your company decided to no longer be in the opioid supply business because it did not want to tarnish the image that you just talked about, your code of conduct.
No.
Ma'am, this is a pretty short letter that you sent to doctors, right?
That was what the FDA had asked us to do, yes?
You ever heard of Sitting Bull?
No.
You've never heard of the Indian Sitting Bull?
The what?
The Indian Sitting Bull? You've never heard of Sitting Bull?
No.
You ever heard the saying that it does not take many words to tell the truth?
I've heard it now.
It doesn't, does it? You can put the truth in a letter and tell a doctor very simply what's right and what's wrong, can't you?
So this is the letter that the FDA required us to send to doctors?
They required you to do.
This is, well, we negotiated or we went back and forth, and this is what we determined.
Okay. Y'all let this lion out of the cage when you started marketing this broadly for non-malignant cancer pain, and we've been trying to outrun it ever since. True?
Your Honor, same question, same subject. Again, object. Outside the
Sustained.
Ma'am, isn't it true that your company has come into this courtroom and tried to take the position that the state of Oklahoma somehow has not done enough because we couldn't outrun the opioid crisis?
outside the scope of anything I ask this witness.
Sustained.
Isn't it true, ma'am, that if that's the fabric of your company, the worst thing your company could do under your own code of conduct would be to engage in a course of marketing conduct that helped cause the worst man-made public health crisis in the history of the state of Oklahoma?
I don't believe we did that.
Well, then there's one thing worse than causing an opioid crisis, isn't there?
What?
To cut and run and take your money and not spend a single dime in this state to help us clean it up, right?
I don't believe that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So Deem-Eshleman is now off the witness stand. A doctor from Kentucky, an anesthesiologist and pain specialist, is taking the stand. Testimony continues in the Oklahoma opioid trial on Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Now you can watch live at oklahoman.com. You can see continuing coverage from the Oklahoman's Randy Ellis every day in the Oklahoman, and of course on our website at oklahoman.com. Reporting outside the Cleveland County Courthouse, I'm Dave Morris.